There's always a bull market somewhere, you know, I like to say at the end of every night. And right now, we got a stunning bull market in garbage. Waste Management's up 29% for the year. Clean Harbors up 34%. Covanta Holdings has rallied 32%. So what's going on here? Okay, take Covanta, which is a waste disposal company with a huge waste energy business, where they convert millions of tons of trash into clean, renewable power. For years, this company has performed inconsistently. Frankly, the stock was stuck trading sideways, even as it paid a very nice dividend. Currently yields 5.7%. Lately, Covanta has caught fire, with the company reporting strong numbers. The question is, can they keep this up, even if the global economy is getting slower? Let's take a closer look with Stephen Jones. He's the president and CEO of Covanta Holdings to get a better sense of how his company's doing. And we're excited. Mr. Jones, welcome back to Mad Money. Good to see you, sir.
Thanks for having me on again.
Okay, thank you. Now, a lot of people are always confused about what you're really levered to. Is it the tipping fee? Is it the idea that there's more waste? Is it in 2014, your stock went to 24? What happened then? When you look at your forecast at the beginning of the year, what do you look at as the key metrics to determine how Covanta will do?
Really, the waste side of our business. So 70% of our revenues come from the waste side of our business. Smaller percentage for power, and then even a smaller percentage, 5% or so, for recycled metal.
And how is the waste right now?
It's a good time to be a waste company.
Right? It's 7%,
yeah, it really is.
7% year over year, some huge number.
So the first quarter, we had 5% price growth, and that's driven by a few things. Landfills are closing, particularly in the Northeast. You're seeing a lot of people move into the population centers, and our facilities tend to be up and down the East Coast along the population centers from Boston down to Miami. And then lastly, and you and I talked about this last time I was in, the recycling industry is in a bit of a mess.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, and so you have recycling material, which, quite frankly, we'd like to have recycled, but instead it's finding its way into the regular residential waste flow.
But we want it to be with you and not in landfills, right?
Well, yeah. So you have a choice, right? We design these facilities to be post-recycling, so do the recycling and then bring the material to our facilities. Right now, that's not happening in some cases. So you have municipalities and recycling companies who have shut down their recycling programs. So the waste is finding its way into the regular waste stream. And so you have a choice. You want to dig a hole and bury it in the ground, or do you want to take it to an energy from waste plant and recover the inherent energy that's in that waste?
Well, I regard this, we're calling this the summer of sustainability. I understand that Mayor Bloomberg has had a hand in what I go by, I guess, every day, the East 91st Street Marine Transfer. Tell me about that facility.
So that Marine Transfer Station, Mayor Bloomberg was the architect of a number of Marine Transfer Stations. We operate 2 of them, one in Queens, which we've been operating since about 2015. Right. The Manhattan, or the East 91st Street Marine Transfer Station, just started up. So we take all the waste from Manhattan, goes to energy from waste plants, and So this has been a project that's been in the works for some time.
How are you affiliated at all with his the announcement yesterday, the $500 million campaign, basically, of his own money to wean us off coal?
We're not involved with it, but it's certainly going to help us, because if you look at renewable energy and you know what you want to do with energy from waste, you want to make sure that you're taking your waste and not putting into landfills, because in landfills it produces a lot of methane, and methane's a big greenhouse gas, and instead take it to an energy from waste plant. So anything that's focused on climate change will help our business.
Now, Stephen, could you explain to me the action in the stock, in the sense, what happened in 2014? Was that China? Something, what spiked the stock to 24 and then brought it back down? Because a lot of the utility stocks that we follow, for instance, Con Ed, American Electric Power, they've had very consistent, nice move up. You don't seem to be levered to the yield curve. That's why I mentioned at the beginning, like, well, you know, I'm trying to figure out why your stock's been stuck, given that I think you're in a good business.
So if you look back at the 2014 timeframe, at that point, there were a number of long-term power agreements that were running off term, and they were at high power prices. And so that's happened over time. In 2014, around that time, the board raised the dividend up to the $1 that it is today, and you mentioned the healthy dividend yield. So I think that had a positive impact on the stock at the same time that you were seeing and in fact, the company shrink, and that's changed today. We're actually a growth company.
Now, let's talk about one of the great growth projects is in the UK. And as soon as I hear UK, I get worried because of Brexit. But it doesn't necessarily have to be bad for Covanta.
So we, about a year ago, we started working with the Green Investment Group, which was the renewable energy arm of the UK government, went private. We're working on 6 projects right now. 2 of those are in construction. One Rookery, the other, which is near London. The other one is Earlsgate, which is in the Edinburgh, Scotland area. A third project got its operating permit and is expected to be in construction in Q3, and a fourth project is expected to be in construction in Q4. So we're going to go through 2019 and get 4 projects in construction.
Well, that's
we haven't
gonna give
had
you
that
growth.
kind of growth in decades.
Right, so that should be a nice flight path for 2020.
Right, and that's why I think you're seeing our stock move up over the last kind of year to date. Is I think investors are starting to see the growth that we've talked about come to fruition.
And do I have to worry about Brexit, or is there a way to quantify that it could be good?
So Brexit's got, no one's really sure how it's going to play out. But there's 3.5 million tons of waste that go from the UK to the EU to Central Europe.
The EU may not want that.
Well, they may not. So if it gets stuck in the UK, first off, it means waste pricing is going to go higher.
Right.
And then secondly, they're going to need more energy from waste plants. And so that'll be beneficial to us and our GIG partnership.
Well, terrific. Oh, good yield, good growth story. I think that sounds like a lot to like. That's Stephen Jones. He's president and CEO of Covanta. If you're in the East, you see this stuff all the time. And, good. That's what they're doing. We don't like landfills. We really don't like methane.
Right.
Thank you so much. Mad Money's back into the break. Booyah! Jim Cramer here from Mad Money. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube. Click here to subscribe and get the jump on my exclusives with CEOs, plus market news, investing advice, and a whole lot more.